look at what grief is. We all grieve. It's just something that we all do. Every person grieves, but we all do it in different ways. In order to heal, we must go through the grieving process and allow ourselves to grieve. We may grieve the loss of a person, an object, a job, stability, or the flexibilities to do what we want when we want, and those things that we may have taken for granted prior to the pandemic. You may experience anticipatory grief where you are grieving something that hasn't happened yet, but you are expecting that it will. You may find yourself or others going through various stages of the grieving process, which may be expressed through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. People who go through the grieving process may not hit each of these stages, and they may bounce back and forth between the several stages. We all are very unique, and how a person goes through the grieving process is as unique as they are. Denial. Denial is a rejection of something that is clear and obvious to others. Anger. Anger is where a person turns to blaming others, not following directions or rules, and it provides them with a form of action, even if that action is a negative one. Bargaining. Bargaining is where the person tries to find a compromise in order to find an easier way to deal with what is going on around them. Depression. Depression is a sense of despair because there is no more room for denial, and this can sometimes be exhibited through self-pity. Acceptance. Acceptance is a stage where you have finally acknowledged what is going on and surrendered to the facts. You are able to start dealing with what is going on around you and what is happening. As a person goes through the stages of grief, it is important to remember that they may not follow this direct path as it's laid out on this slide, but rather shift back and forth, skip over stages, or even revisit stages that they've already gone through. Each person is different, so the grief process will also be different for each person. Let's look at examples of COVID-19 denial. A person experiencing COVID-19 denial might say something like, "This pandemic is just a hoax," or "The media has blown the whole situation completely out of proportion. It's not as bad as it sounds." It might sound something like, "It's the same as the common cold. Everyone may get it, but it's not as bad as they're making it out to be." It might also look like, "I'm not sick, so I can't spread it to anyone else," which leads us to asymptomatic spread, or the ability to spread the virus without knowing that you were infected because you're showing no signs or symptoms of the virus. This is why it is so critical to wear face masks when you're out in public and around other people. Do hand hygiene and physical distance from the next person by at least 6 feet. Let's look at anger and the examples of COVID-19 anger that we might hear or see. Some people who experience COVID-19 anger may show their frustration through not physically distancing, not following the directions or the most recent guidance. They may not stay at home, or they may not wear their mask when they go out in public or when they're around other people. Maybe the person appears to be confrontational or argumentative. They are upset over the situation and are expressing themselves through anger. Now let's look at COVID-19 examples of bargaining. When a person enters the stage of bargaining as it relates to COVID-19, they may try to figure out a way to compromise with the situation. You might hear them say something along the lines of, "This will all blow over soon and then everything will go back to normal again." Or, "I can tell when a person looks sick or when they appear sick, so I'll just stay away from them and I'll surround myself with healthy people so that I don't get sick." Or maybe it sounds something like, "As long as others are wearing a face mask and doing hand hygiene, then I will be safe and I won't get sick." They're trying to compromise to find an easier way to navigate this very difficult situation. Now let's look at examples of COVID-19 depression. Examples of COVID-19 depression include feelings that life is hopeless or that they are just giving up their hopes and their dreams because of the pandemic. Maybe it is a sense of doom, and that they are locked in their room or in their house forever because they fear getting that virus. Maybe there's a lack of interest in the things that that person normally did, or a lack of interest in the things that they used to enjoy. They have this feeling that things are just hopeless. They have a lack of energy, and it's just really hard for them to continue on.